Commissioner Singleton to lead us in a word of prayer.
Well, let us pray. Father, we just humble ourselves at this time, recognizing that you are God and we are inadequate in and of ourselves, Father. So we ask for your guidance and discernment for every decision made today, and for future successes. We'll be careful to give you the glory. We pray this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Will everyone please stand to recite the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Purcell, please call the roll.
Miranda Bolden.
Here.
Amy Price.
Here.
Charles Bunton.
Here.
Ann Forbes.
Here.
Jody Singleton.
Here.
Timothy Guyan.
Here.
Paul Kennedy. Larry Turner.
Here.
Stan Nelson. Here. Rod Scott.
Here.
Shane Stiller.
Here.
And Terry Welch. Here. Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Everyone should have had time to review the agenda. Chair entertains a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any questions or comments? The agenda is approved. Everyone should have had time to review the minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as presented? Chair entertains a motion to approve the minutes of the March 8th, 2024 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. Any questions or comments? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, like sign. The minutes are approved. I'd like to take a moment to welcome any guests that we have in the room for the meeting. Are there any institutional presidents here? If so, please stand. All right. As chairman, I'm required to appoint a nominating committee to elect a new chair and vice chair for the upcoming year. I would like to appoint Commissioner Singleton, Commissioner Scott, and Commissioner Welch. The nominating committee will report their recommendations at the September 13th, 2024 meeting. I would also like for Commissioner Bunton and Commissioner Guyan to stand, and I would like to present a plaque for their services as a commissioner since 2015. Dr. Purcell, please present the plaque.
Then I'll come around a second so we can have somewhat a happy picture here.
We'll check them. If they don't like them, we'll do it again later. At this point, we're actually going to recognize the chair. Chair Bolden has been here for 9 years also, but this is last 2 years she served as chair. So she has the privilege of getting two plaques the same day. One is for committing her 9 years of service, and then the other, of course, for being our leader for the last few years. So,
Probably the
yeah, move over.
I think it both eyes here.
Oh, that way. Thank you.
Call for y'all.
You get flags.
Yes, get your plaques.
Yes.
So board members, that's what you get for 9 years of service. And we hope you enjoy it. And please share it in your office because it's good promotions for the agency.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Purcell, and the commission here as a whole. I will say it's been truly a wonderful experience over the last 9 years, and I have enjoyed serving Alabama. And so I know we're going to be in good hands after we depart, but it's been a wonderful experience for sure. All right, so we'll move on. I'll now turn it over to Dr. Purcell for the executive director's report.
I have, I'm highlighting another of our commissioners, Amy Price. She is just finishing up her tenure as a school board member in Sylacauga. Congratulations. She was the president there, last little while at least, and she's actually on Wikipedia. So she's so famous, she's on Wikipedia. So I was like, shh. And, but also she was in the paper. She's grabbing headlines these days for saying nice things about nursing pass rates and things. They have a great program where they actually work with a lot of high school kids to help them get jobs in the healthcare system, especially her hospital there in Sylacauga. And she's very quotable. So those of you that need a good quote, Amy can be articulate. So very nice. Congratulations, Ms. Price. Want to recognize one of our campuses, the one at Hanceville. They are actually listed as one of the top 10 in the country community colleges, up for the Aspen Prize. Aspen Prize is awarded every 2 years, and institutions are picked for a lot of their innovation and work. So we're excited. They're in the running. We won't know for another 2 months, sort of like American Idol. You know, we just got to wait. But we're excited that they were recognized for a lot of the stuff, and we worked closely with them, and really excited about their success. I wanted to highlight our research fellows and our interns. Nicholas Bolden is still doing stuff for us. He's a professor at Columbus State, but he's an Alabamian and graduated from all the Alabama schools. But now he does fancy research for us. He's actually authoring a book right now and has delegated a lot of the assignments for people to do work. Deanna Goodwin is actually doing her work from Sylacauga. She had worked at Jeff State prior. She's getting her PhD, and she's doing a lot of research using our data to sort of see the impacts of education, especially technical education. Natalie Millar, she's a PhD from University of Alabama, undergraduate from Jacksonville State. And she actually married a guy who's a professor at Connecticut. So she's in Stanford in California. He's in Connecticut. And because she has a lot of free time, because her husband's not home or anything, she does research stuff for the state of Alabama. And she gets funded through our office. Very brilliant person. So we're excited about all her work. She works actually for Condoleezza Rice in that particular unit, the Hoover Institute that's at Stanford. Jessie Lynn Nichols. Jessie's here in the room. Do you wave? There you go. So Jessie does research kind of stuff. And last year she was Miss Rodeo USA or something. What is it? Yes. So she did that for a year. She's come back. She's finishing her PhD at Auburn and is doing real well and working for us as an intern now, doing all kind of researchy things. We have summer interns that we do every summer. Tegan Cabell's in the room. And Grace is here. And I would say you're Grace Lewis. I forgot my glasses today. Arnisha Smith is here. There you go. DJ Harris, there you are. And Daniel Petway. All right, so that's our new crowd for the summer. Everybody give them a round of applause. I tell them that being recognized at the board meeting is a nice part of their summer job, and the rest of it is just minion work for the rest of us. So we did have a good legislative session, and this is how all the campuses played out. I know it's in microscopic, but we can send you the novel later. But you can sort of see that the gains at the campuses were, we had made budget recommendations. They were relatively close, but as you know, some people have better politics than others, so it's not exact science. And speaking of politics, we actually had a good session. Very appreciative of the legislature for their support, especially for operation and maintenance. A lot of the agencies had gotten an increase in just general expenses, and we hadn't. They've been funding us well, but for projects. But you can't do anything with project money because you got to spend it on the projects. So we pushed real hard for that, and that was helpful. And then some of the projects we did need additional funds, and we got the support that we needed for that. The items in purple there are the aid programs that got additional funds, and that's one of the things we've been pushing for a long time, and you'll see a slide later on why that's important. There's some new items in there. We've got Study Alabama, which is a program that works with graduate students, try to get more graduate students to come and do research and take classes in Alabama. But in addition to that, they have an initiative where they actually, if you're like a person in science and math and you want to get finish your degree here and work in business for 1 year or 3 years, if it's in science and math, you can work 3 years for industry. And we have developed basically working with them a website that allows them to put out what their resume is. And then we connect them to businesses. Business can say, we need somebody that's a physicist, but we also need them to be able to speak Chinese or Korean or Russian or French or Spanish or whatever. And so that we can match it. And I think that's going to help us be much more supportive with our industries coming from out of state. We've had about 500 industries since the mid 1990s from out of state come to Alabama. And so this is a way for us to sort of say, hey, we're trying to make sure you have the skill set there. And it really is a way for us to capture some of the talent that comes to Alabama. They're comfortable with the state, and those that want to stay may have an opportunity to be hired and get a green card and become Alabamians and Americans eventually. So anyway, we're excited about that one. Indian Affairs Scholarship, that's basically to help with Native Americans here. So we're working through that particular program. And then the Scottsboro Boys Museum, as you know, there were two situations there. It sort of happened in Scottsboro, the bad incident, and then they had the court case in Decatur. So they're going to split the money, 100,000, and sort of build up some promotions on how to do that. We did get 400,000 decrease in a few lines. So the 400,000 was the EDPA, Retain Alabama. They did great work for us. But, there were cuts had to be made. And then 100,000 from the Humanities Foundation. I think that they had bumped up their money for a little bit for a purchase last year. So it's just really coming back down to regular funding. And then, so all in all, we're real happy. In the supplemental budget, that's all. The supplemental budget, guys, is the one-time money. If you have leftover money 1 year, they stack it all up in a small box, and then they distribute it based on what people need, sort of emergency things or buildings and stuff. What we needed was really to make sure our Reengage scholarship was funded. It's gone on for a year. They put it in one-time money. They did it again on one-time money. And I think the reason they're doing it is they put it in for the Reengage bill when it was created, that it would be analyzed for 5 years to determine whether it should be something that's continues. So it does give us a time to argue. Well, let us have the 5 years to receive these funds and see if it does make a big difference. It's designed to get people who have some college and no degree to finish at our colleges and universities. So we had some increase in other things. The deferred maintenance program got 4 million. And then you can see all the other fun things that are added in. Those are sometimes called pass-throughs. They're semi-educational, like SEC sports. That is semi-educational. There are scholarships involved. There are people, students that are athletes playing and stuff. So anyway, they put it through our budget. We can actually assess a slight fee for shipping and handling, and that helps support some of the institutional grants that you guys receive. So it's all a win-win for us. There's some new laws that are impacting them. Nothing really too scary. We did have the DEI bill passed, and some of the campuses have had to really change how they do that kind of stuff or dissolve agencies. Jacksonville State was the first to pull the plug on their particular program, and all the other guys will be doing that before the deadline. And so that is something there. So there's not a whole lot that is significantly big change. The big one, just wanted to highlight for you guys, is that we do support Tuskegee and Talladega College. Tuskegee is actually a quasi-private and has been funded for a long, long time from the legislature. And Talladega has received a large supplement for a long time. So here's a couple other items, nothing too exciting, but for the record, we've been talking about the FAFSA for a long time, and the FAFSA numbers are down, and I have quoted by saying something unnice about the FAFSA process. I think the word horrific was used. Now, I felt bad about that, but then, like the next day, all these other presses came out and said even uglier things. So I feel better. I feel more Southern grace than I was thinking the first day I saw it. So it is a problem. And really that article, the first one on the right, is about how the rollout is actually impacting the population that we've been trying to help, which is the low income and the underserved populations in the state. And this is an example where you can actually see it in writing. This is the high schools that have a lot of minorities or low income, and you can compare the bars and see how their bars are lower on the bottom than they were. So it's very problematic that the population that can get the FAFSA, get full aid, and can get to go to college is the population that was less likely to fill out a FAFSA this year. We are trying to respond. We're doing all kinds of things to do that. We've also done the analysis state to state about how the poverty rate is highly correlated to the populations that had a decline in the FAFSA, and it's not just Alabama, it's everywhere. But we're making progress. What we've done is we went out and got Trellis from out of state, worked with the HBCU consortium to have an event to help train everybody on the new FAFSA, which is an insane, horrific thing. But now everybody knows how to do it better. And then in addition to that, we are doing outreach. We've sent letters to all the high school seniors. Then we sent another one out this last week saying, if you need help, let us know and give us your contact information. And we've done that. K through 12 has allowed us to keep the emails of the high school seniors until August. So that's important so that we can have communication, because our normal communications is based on their high school email that a lot of kids in Alabama get as a result of a safe campus, like if there's an active shooter or bad weather, there's communications. So they're going to keep that live, which they normally kill right after the kid graduates. But now they're going to keep it until August so we can encourage them to go to college and help them with the difficult FAFSA process. So all in all, we are moving up. We are ranked, as you can see on the right column there, that is actually increases from prior year, and we're 52nd. And that's like counting Puerto Rico and Washington, which also agitates me because, Alabama, sometimes we get down in these categories. Why add another 2 states to just hurt our feelings more? But the good news is we were up so high the first 2 years of our initiative. And to me, what it shows is the interventions that we put in place were not possible because the FAFSA was not operational and their data was wrong. They would have improper error messages. We were helping people because we got complaints from students or their congressmen because of the debacle that this particular thing caused. The good news is we have made some progress. This is is this where we are and where we were about a month and a half ago at 9%. So we're on the verge of getting to 50, which is we were at 60 the last 2 years. So that's where we want to get to. And we're doing a lot of work over the summer to help you guys have that. At this point, we're just going to pivot just a hair to talk about how we're funded in Alabama. And those of you that have been here 9 years may recall this chart. Well, not this one, but one coming up 6 charts from now. But this is need-based aid. And you can sort of see that Alabama is way down in the bottom, way in the bottom of least funded for aid. So state aid in this state is problematic, and we've been working hard to increase it. Governor Ivey has increased need-based aid, tripled it since she's been in office. The percentage of educational appropriations, this really just shows the ratio between tuition revenue and appropriations. Alabama is way ahead of the national average on this, so we actually get a lot of stuff. We have more of it being paid by students now than the legislature. So most of us that went to college in Alabama or whatever, 3/4 of it used to be paid by the state, and now it's about 50-50. This is the tuition expenses or tuition and fee revenue. This is the actual costs that our students pay, not the scholarships that they take off. But we end up with being way up in the front. Alabama's very highly ranked in getting tuition revenue. And it's not just at the high-priced universities, it's at the community colleges too, when you compare it from state to state. On education appropriations, again, we're sort of better funded than some other institutions throughout the country. And this one is the total education when you combine both tuition and fees and appropriations, and we're in the top 3 or 4. And then this is the chart I was mentioning. Y'all had seen this chart before where I talked about how we were funded once at 1968 levels. Well, we had a big spike this year or on the last year. If you remember last year, they gave a lot of one-time money because we had this big windfall because of post-COVID expenditures produced a lot of tax revenue. And we bought a lot of one-time things. So now we have spiked up. And based on that spike, we are now being funded in late 1980s, early 1992 levels. So don't we feel better? But to keep in mind that I think all of us working together have made some success. So since 2017, which starts my history here, we were way back in the 60s. So we have made some progress in getting the right kind of funding. And with that, Madam Chair, I'll be glad to send it over to you for discussion items.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Purcell, for that great roundup. All right, next we'll move into discussion items. The following discussion item will be presented by Dr. Dolan, Artificial Intelligence.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair Bolden, Commissioners. I would like to share with you just a few general ideas about AI and higher education in the state of Alabama. I will not claim to be an expert in AI. I am novice, but in research that I do, there are a lot of interesting points that I would like to bring to your attention today. So when we're talking about tomorrow's transformations with respect to AI, we're talking about our future workforce and higher education. Today, I would like to talk about exploring the evolving AI, how we discover that AI is transforming workforce along with its challenges and opportunities, and share information about Alabama's higher education AI grants and convenings. But before I do so, I would like to talk about AI as far as you as an individual. How dependent do you consider yourself to be on AI for day-to-day activities? Think about it. When was the last time you said, Alexa, or Hey Siri? Did I make anyone's phone light up? And can you go anywhere without using a GPS app? Can you even recall the last time you actually used a printed map for travel? It's been a while. So what is artificial intelligence? The basic definition is that it mimics human intelligence and performs tasks that typically require human cognition, such as learning, problem solving, and decision making. And there are certain types of AI, all different elements depending on the aspect you're looking at. But I would like to talk about one thing beforehand that McKinsey has brought about. I think it's a great analogy when we think about AI. You've heard the classic question, should I rent, buy, or build? Well, McKinsey has related this concept to AI as in take, shape, or make. You have takers who publicly use tools with little to no customization. Shapers integrate models with internal data systems to customize their results. And makers, those are the ones who build foundation models to address distinct operation plans and offer training, which is more costly and complicated. But what I want to talk to you about today are the two that's most common, are traditional and generative. Those are the ones that I just mentioned then when we were talking about Siri or using your maps AI. There's also analytical AI, but that is something that businesses are getting more into about forecast of patterns and trends. But again, we will just focus on these two, which are not mutually exclusive as they do support one another. So what are the differences between general and generative? Traditional is predefined rules, existing patterns that are efficient and good at specific task solving, whereas generative is about new data. It's creative, innovative. And of course, they are flip-flopped to one another as far as their weaknesses. Examples, again, of traditional are your Siri and Alexa, whereas generative is your Chat GPT. We hear a lot of conversations about it. Or for design work with DALL-E. So what are emerging AI-driven industries? Well, by 2030, according to the latest McKinsey report, we're going to be talking about healthcare, finance, robotics, and sustainability. These are some that are the most driven areas, talking about efficient, accurate healthcare, more transformation in our banking processes, robots for manufacturing, logistics, and sustainability in energy consumption and environmental monitoring, such as agriculture. We hear this topic a lot, which I thought was interesting, the article itself entitled, Worried About Losing Your Job to AI? This is where a lot of conversations are coming to be. According to the 2024 Work Trend Index annual report, which was released by Microsoft and LinkedIn, 45% of knowledge workers across the world are concerned about losing their jobs to AI. According to Lawrence Liu, who is the Director for AI Innovation at AI Singapore, said, People should not be concerned about AI replacing them as much as someone who uses AI to outperform them. So performance is the key factor. And how can we address that with our workforce and our higher education? Well, there are certain skill gaps that need to be addressed. Those primarily are of upskilling and reskilling. Upskill is to grow in a current role, whereas reskill is to prepare for a new role. And how might we do that in order to empower the workforce? Is AI already in the workplace? According to this report, it is. 65% of leaders indicate that they would not hire a person without AI skills. That they would 71% hire someone with skills with less experience than someone who has more experience without AI. That's how much AI is influencing our future workforce. However, what's interesting in this same data report, these same leaders are not developing and training their own people. 45% are not currently investing in AI tools for their employees. Only 39% receive training from their employers, and only 25% of companies are planning to train just this year alone. According to the McKinsey Global Institute, with generative AI in the future of our United States, by 2030, 12 million occupational transitions may be required. This means that lower wage job employees are more than likely to have to change their jobs 14 times more than higher wage positions. This means they have to be upskilled and reskilled now, not later. The U.S. also will have to look at their hiring methods in a different manner. We need to hire based on skills and competencies as much as formal qualifications, recruit from underrepresented groups, and provide additional training in order to adjust these changes that are ever evolving. According to a Nexford University report, by the mid-2030s, 30% of jobs should be automated. These areas, customer service representatives, which actually we already see, when was the last time when you make a phone call that you actually get a person, you go through a process. But also other areas I thought of interest are salespeople, research analysts, insurance underwriters. Other jobs that they do not consider to be as affected by AI would be teachers, lawyers, judges, nurses, doctors, and such. So how do we stay ahead of the AI era? We have to embrace lifelong learning with flexibility and be willing to change, which is the tough one. Develop soft skills as AI has yet replicated human emotional intelligence and creativity, and specialize in skill sets. But as we do this, there are significant considerations of AI and when you apply it to your business, to your higher education institution, however it may be. We have privacy and data protection that's necessary in order to have regulations and safeguards for the people, algorithmic bias, so that you have critical and equitable decision-making practices, transparency and explainability. That ensures building trust and accountability. And then, of course, ethical accountability. We have to establish clear frameworks and guidelines to be responsible. So what are we doing with AI in Alabama's higher education? Well, if you remember our last commission, it was talked about our first convening that we had March 1st at the University of Alabama in Huntsville. We had 235 individuals to participate. And from that convening, a lot of conversations ignited. So in April, AIC invited Alabama's 38 public post-secondary institutions to submit an AI culture grant proposal. They were awarded up to $5,000 for this upcoming year in order to apply it to AI learning opportunities and implementation strategies. And each institution was allowed 2 proposals. So what I would like to do at this point is recognize those 11 institutions who submitted. And of those 11 institutions, we had 19, and I want to show you briefly the titles and their primary contacts so you can congratulate them. Auburn, Jacksonville State, Troy, University of Alabama, University of South Alabama, and University of West Alabama. And for our 2-year, Bevel State, Bishop State, Coastal Alabama, Chattahoochee Valley, Lawson State. So let's give them applause because it was some great ideas. So now we're getting ready for the fall. We now will introduce to you the new logo that's just come out, Higher Education AI Exchange, which is going to occur October 10th and 11th at Auburn University. In the spring, Dr. Purcell and research fellow Jessie Lynn Nichols, visited Auburn's Big EO Center. Dr. Asim Ali, he's the executive director of the center, gave them a tour as they started planning for this fall's convening. We encourage everyone to please attend, and more information will be shared through emails and announcements through social media from the Institution of Auburn as well as AIC. We must keep in mind, and I think this is a concern for most people at this point, AI at this point in time, and I hope forever in the future, but everything evolves, is not a replacement for human intelligence. As humans do bring a wide range of experiences, creativity, and intuition to the decision-making process. AI is to be used as a tool to help achieve goals more effectively and efficiently, but we have to use it responsibly and ethically. Ultimately, for AI to be successful in Alabama, we must work diligently together to provide the necessary upskill and reskill training for our workforce of today, as well as be transparent and accountable when creating new jobs and developing our corresponding higher education programs for the workforce of tomorrow. Thank you.
We'll next move into our academic programs. Each decision item will be voted on individually. Any questions may be directed to the staff presenter. Our first decision item 1 will be presented by Dr. Robin McGill, Bachelor of Arts in Music Industry Studies.
Great. Thank you, Chair Bolden. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm pleased to begin our presentations today on new academic programs with Athens State University. They have representatives in the room in case you all have questions. They are proposing a new program, Bachelor of Arts in Music Industry Studies. This program would be delivered in their facility at the Alabama Center for the Arts in Decatur, which I know they are really filling that facility out right now. This program would provide a baccalaureate pathway for their partner college at Calhoun, which also shares the facility. There are 2 concentrations that are proposed for this program. One is concert touring and live performance. Students would have a lot of, music performance courses that would fill out their schedule. The second is music business and artist management. Both concentrations would have a work-based learning requirement for a music industry internship, and the projections for employment for graduates are sort of based on this greater Nashville, Muscle Shoals music community that's flourishing up in the northern part of our state. It does build on existing minor coursework, and Athens State is aiming to get specialized accreditation for the program through the National Association of Schools of Music, which would bring a lot of prestige. There are modest costs for new part-time faculty and for that specialized accreditation. And staff is recommending approval for the program.
Thank you. Chair entertains a motion to approve the staff recommendation. Second. We have a motion and a second to approve. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor of approving, say aye. Aye. And all opposed, like sign. The program is approved. Decision item number 2 will be presented by Dr. Robin McGill, Troy University, Doctor of Philosophy and Criminology.
Thank you, Chair Bolden. And representatives from Troy are here should we have any questions. This program, a Doctor of Philosophy and Criminology, would be the 3rd PhD that's offered by Troy University. And we have recently approved a role change for them to be a doctoral granting institution. And part of their goals for that are to become a research to or high research activity institution. And so having more PhD programs supports them along that goal. They've been preparing for this program by holding in reserve a number of faculty lines that help them grow a new curriculum toward this PhD, which is why you don't see a lot of faculty costs on the business plan, even though they are planning to hire new faculty. So they are proposing quite a few new courses. But they do have existing strengths in their Masters of Science in Criminal Justice and a Master of Science, Social Science with a concentration in criminology that this PhD program would extend from. There are letters of support from the Alabama Bureau of Pardons and Paroles and the Alabama Appleseed Center for Law and Justice. Graduates from the program would be primarily prepared for research, and they would find employment in academia and also public policy institutions that focus on criminal justice. In the future, they project that there may be some additional funds needed for graduate assistantships, but those would be offset by the savings for teaching undergraduate coursework. And with that, staff is recommending approval for the program.
Thank you. Chair entertains a motion to approve the staff recommendation. Second. We have a motion and a second to approve. Are there any questions or comments?
Dr. McGill, so this would be 2025-26 when it would be implemented?
Yes, sir. Yes, they will have to go through a substantive change approval with the accreditor. That basically means we tell the accreditor that we're doing something new, reaching up into that higher degree level within this specific area of study, and that does take a little while. They're also hiring for the new faculty, and so bringing those on board and getting everything up and going. So they will expect to start delivering in fall of 2025. Is that?
Yeah, that's
Yes, sir.
wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, all in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, like sign. Program is approved. Decision item number 3 will be presented by Dr. Robin McGill, Master of Science in Artificial Intelligence in Medicine.
Right. Thank you, Chair Bolden. This one is a very exciting program. And at the end of my remarks, I'm going to invite up a special guest, Dr. Ruben Pillay from UAB, to talk a little bit more about this program, given our focus on AI that we just heard about. This program does really seem to be at the leading edge of what's going on across the country, and therefore is very exciting. The kinds of programs that it is growing out of at UAB are quite a number. They have a very deep bench. There is on the field an MS in computer science that this will draw coursework from, an MS in electrical and computer engineering, a Master of Science in Healthcare Innovation that's offered out of the School of Medicine, which is also partnering with the Institute for Biomedical Innovation. And lastly, Master of Science in Health Informatics through the School of Health Professions. So imagine that this new degree program would draw a little bit of coursework from each one and also develop some new coursework that's specifically focused on applications of artificial intelligence in the field of medicine and development of new AI. So we heard Dr. Dolan say earlier about analytical and adaptive and how difficult that is. And this program is really engineered toward many of the technical aspects and also clinical applications of AI in the field of medicine. I should say that in March, the commission heard a program from Auburn come through with a Master of Science in Artificial Intelligence Engineering. It was at the same CIP code as this one. They both have very technical aspects, but that particular program doesn't have the medical focus. So this is one, I suppose, challenge for this program is there isn't quite an instructional code that really captures the breadth and depth that this program is going into in medicine. There are thesis and non-thesis tracks. The program will require some significant investments that UAB is already putting into the program for new faculty and also a full-time program manager who will manage the admissions and recruitment processes. But nonetheless, they're expecting it to be very highly enrolled, and the tuition and fees that it would generate would make the program self-sustaining from year one. And before I recommend approval, let me invite up Dr. Pillay to talk a little bit about his conception of the program, and hopefully I got all my comments right.
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here in front of you. What you have in front of you is a proposal for a program but it's more than just a program, as you've heard. It's actually the key to unlock the challenges that we face in health and healthcare. Undoubtedly, artificial intelligence may well be, at least in our lifetime, when I look around, the last great invention that we will see. And with that comes solutions to all of the challenges we face in healthcare: cost, quality, access, equity, and productivity. And to that extent, the School of Medicine and its partners within UAB and outside has made a strategic decision to invest in building up capacity and capability in the space. We already have a graduate certificate in AI in medicine that's already operational. Upon approval of this, it would be the second. Closely following on this approval, hopefully, is a PhD with a focus in AI in medicine, an executive doctorate with a track in AI in medicine, the first ever AI graduate certificate in nursing, and the first ever AI certificate in health services administration. So with all of those programs set to be approved by 2025, UAB will not only be the only institution in Alabama offering this comprehensive suite of AI training, but it would be the only one nationally and globally as well. So by 2025, UAB would have the most comprehensive AI in medicine and healthcare training programs globally. As you've heard, it took a significant amount of investment, but we're prepared to make that because of the potential that this offers us to solve the challenges. Why are we making the strategic investment? Three main reasons is, as you've heard, there are major issues around trustworthiness and responsibility of AI and privacy issues, etc. Well, AI is machines. We have to make sure the people who design it and develop it understand how to do it in that manner that protects everybody. So, a lot of our programming, especially the masters, is targeting those who will design and develop AI systems for responsible use. It's also critical that the users of AI systems, be they physicians or administrators or nurses, have an understanding of how to use this in a responsible and trustworthy manner. And our graduate certificates aim to address that. And finally, I think we have, as academic institutions, a responsibility to train the subjects of AI processes. Individuals on whose data we depend, to give them the knowledge to be able to question how their data is going to be used, and information for patients who will be the recipients of the outcomes of AI models, to be able to challenge physicians. So although we have in front of you, now and coming up soon, a swathe of credit-bearing programs, we have also made a significant commitment to roll out non-credit-bearing programs aimed at democratizing AI literacy across the UAB health system and the School of Medicine. So very soon, pretty much every individual at UAB, irrespective of the group or staff category they fall in, will be able to access free of any charge a primer in AI in medicine, and that will be made available to patients as well. So, we understand the responsibility that we have as a renowned medical institution to do the right thing and to do it right when it comes to AI in medicine. And we really want to appreciate the support that we have received from you, and hopefully that we'll continue to receive from you. In order to demystify the space, I've left each one of you a copy of my book, Code to Care, and it's about responsible AI in health and healthcare. if you're able to, yeah, it's, less intimidating reading than it sounds, but I think it'll place you in good stead to assess and evaluate programs that come before you in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just had a question, since you are a published author in the
Yeah.
subject. One of our issues with is smaller institutions, and we have smaller college universities, we have smaller hospitals. The scalability of AI, the big boys like
Right.
yourself, UAB and everything, has the resources,
Right.
and the ability to get more resources to make it happen. But how do you think we're going to be able to transition that to the smaller organizations that probably could benefit the most, but they just don't have the economies of scale to do the big investment? I think
Right.
that's the big
Yeah.
question in AI management
Right.
is how do you share the wealth?
Yeah, absolutely. Really good point. It is resource intensive. The biggest barrier at the moment is human resource, not technological resources. So, we're very happy to partner with all institutions across the state to facilitate, firstly, the development of faculty members and human resources through any one of our programs, make that available. And I'm pretty sure that the university as a whole understands its mission within the state to also be a resource for them as well. We also depend significantly on industry for this. I mean, the reality is AI is an expensive space. Not even academic institutions have the wherewithal to execute on this. So, it really depends on strong partnerships in the corporate sector. And of course, it's easier for us to also develop those partnerships if we go in with a diverse set of institutions that reflect, community colleges to all universities as well. So, for me, it's not a matter of is this doable? It's a question of how do we actually execute and making sure that happens.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
What do you envision as ultimately who's going to govern AI in the healthcare industry?
That's a really good question. I mean, it's a moving target at the moment, so we have a lot of legislation, both at federal level and at state level. So at the moment, whatever we do, we try to ensure that we're within the regulatory framework of either federally or within the state. I think in terms of governing AI, it's a difficult question because, as I said, the biggest players at the moment are industry. They put in the most money, they do the most research, and they produce the most AI products. So ultimately, I think who's responsible to a large extent will depend on how well they lobby. And unfortunately, academic institutions would just probably have to follow suit. But we don't have that at the moment. We only have the regulatory environment. And then, of course, there's a lot of it self-management in terms of the ethical aspects of AI that we would have to self-govern. And we're pretty aware of it. And, that's why the first book I put out was essentially a toolkit on how to develop, implement, and deploy in a responsible manner. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. It's exciting to have such an esteemed program in the state and esteemed colleagues here to present to us. And with that, staff is recommending approval for the MS in Artificial Intelligence in Medicine that's been proposed by the University of Alabama at Birmingham.
Thank you. Truly going to change lives. Chair entertains a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any additional questions or comments? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, like sign. The program is approved. Decision item number 4 will be presented by Dr. Robin McGill, University of Montevallo, Master of Education in Special Education.
Thank you, Chair Bolden. This Master of Education in Special Education is not something totally new for the University of Montevallo. They had been offering related programs until 2022. They were offered as concentrations under other master's level programs. Since 2022, they inactivated their program and were awaiting further guidance from the Alabama State Board and Department of Education about new curricular structures for special education. And we all know that there's a critical shortage of teachers, but in special education, there's an even more critical shortage of teachers. And so Montebello is proposing a new program that aligns with the curricular recommendations. There would be 2 concentrations. Each concentration would lead to educator certification at the Class A level. That's the master's level. The first one is collaborative special education at the elementary level, K-6. And the second is collaborative special education at the secondary level, which would be 6 to 12. The program will be delivered 100% online. They are not expecting any new costs for the program because they had already offered it and they had continued to offer coursework to support other programs. And as we said, there would be a need for them to make sure that the programs are approved for educator certification. So you will notice there's an extra post-implementation condition placed on this program to ensure that they do receive that process or receive authorization. And we're not expecting that to be a problem. But with that, staff is recommending approval for this program.
Thank you. Chair entertains a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any questions or comments? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, like sign. The program is approved. Decision item number 5A will be presented by Dr. Robin McGill, University of South Alabama, Doctor of Philosophy in Environment and Society.
Thank you, Chair Bolden. I should start again by saying that representatives from University of South Alabama are here from the College of Marine and Environmental Sciences to answer any questions that you may have. I'm excited to present this program to you all, and of course they are as well, because it does represent another unique approach that leans into the mission of the institution. So as you know, University of South Alabama is based down in the Gulf Coast. They have recently, within the last 2 or 3 years, been approved for the School of Marine and Environmental Sciences. And this program, there are already PhD programs offered there, but this one, you see the word transdisciplinary there on the slide. What they mean by that is that it is bringing across, working across disciplines that normally you wouldn't find in the same space or delivering the same kinds of programs. So there's a very marine science, environmental science heavy side, and then also the social science side. So think sociology, anthropology, community building. And so in bringing those two together, this proposed PhD in environment and society is intended to really lean into the Gulf Coast mission and provide research opportunities that are not just scientific, but also build on that social science background and are actively collaborating across the fields. It does rely on coursework that is delivered out of both sides of the house, I guess, including geology, toxicology, sociology, coastal engineering, and oceanography. The program will require some modest reallocation of funds. You see that in the second year. That's because that's when it starts to enroll students who will require graduate assistantships. So having those assistantships available means they can attract the most competitive students. But it will become self-sustaining by year 3. It is expected to attract and sustain over $1 million in extramural research funds, which will help support the research activities of the faculty and graduate students. It's accompanied by 9 letters of support, which again is a testament to how much a program like this is needed and will be welcomed by the community. With that, staff is recommending approval for the program.
Thank you. Chair entertains a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Are there any questions or comments?
I would like to make a comment about what great work they are doing in our community. They are constantly out in the community, using everyone's resources, always on TV. They are doing a phenomenal job. I love the work they're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, like sign. Program is approved. Decision item 5B will be presented by Dr. Robin McGill, Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering, Aerospace Engineering.
Thank you, Chair Bolden. This item is slightly different from what we've been talking about before. It's a substantive modification. We see these every so often. This means we are making or proposing a significant change to a program that already exists in the curriculum. So in this case, the University of South Alabama has a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering already on the books. And within that is a concentration or track in aerospace engineering. Students can complete that track by having 3, I think, focused courses in aerospace. And you all may remember that there are quite a growing aerospace industry down in the south part of our state as well because of the presence of Airbus and other industry suppliers. And so it's been this particular track has seen its enrollments continue to grow. They've been graduating 11 students just within this track, above and beyond the rest of the mechanical engineering. And the university is proposing to modify the program so that the aerospace engineering track would become its own standalone program. Because that would be adding a new entry to the program inventory, then it does require your approval similar to the way a new program would. The difference with this process is that the program has already been in existence and already demonstrated its ability to meet its post-implementation requirements. And so we wouldn't put additional post-implementation monitoring on it. We would just say, program is being successful, carry on at your new standalone program. The university does intend to use the opportunity of a standalone program to bring forward new courses in aerospace engineering and offer more depth in the level of instruction, even at the undergraduate level. And hopefully that will allow them to attract even more students to the program. And with that, staff is recommending approval for this substantive modification.
Thank you. Chair entertains a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, like sign. The substantive modification is approved. Decision item number 6 will be presented by Dr. Robin McGill, request to amend post-implementation conditions, University of Alabama, Huntsville.
Hey, thank you, Chair Bolden. So we're staying in the aerospace world here, talking about the PhD in Aerospace Systems Engineering. UAH has had this program on the books along with its master's program, and it has been consistently right at the threshold around post-implementation, meeting its condition for graduates, which for doctoral program is 2.25 graduates on average. I sometimes wonder who's that extra quarter of a graduate, but, on average. They've been right at 2 graduates per year. They are requesting an extension of 2 additional years for the program to get over that threshold. They can already see that it's basically going to make that because they've attracted new faculty and new external funding, which means they have quite a number of enrollments that are prepared, candidates who are prepared for graduation within the next 2 years. We do all know that Huntsville has a lively, burgeoning aerospace industry, and so having an institution like UAH with this specialized research capacity to produce doctoral level graduates in aerospace systems engineering seems to be a strategic asset for the state. There are other aerospace engineering PhD programs at Auburn and also the University of Alabama. which do have a statewide remit, but having one in Huntsville so close to industry does seem like it would be an advantage to the state. So with that, staff is recommending approval for an extension of 2 years for this program to meet its post-implementation requirements.
Thank you. Chair entertains a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Are there any questions or comments?
Yes, Dr. McGill. So let's review the policy. So they have 3 years to go on track of how many they feel like they're going to graduate. And then we grant them 2 years. And then after that, we revisit again.
Are you asking about what will happen now or what has happened up to this point?
Well, how long do we give them? And if they don't fulfill the number of graduates that they felt like they were proposing, and then we grant them a 2 year extension. Is the 2 year kind of the norm? We give them
Yes.
another 2 years and then we revisit it after 2 years?
Yes.
Okay.
And the hope is that within these 2 years, they will reach
Get
their
back on
number of
track.
graduates, submit us a report that says we did what we said we were going to do, and then you all would receive it as an information item under your summary of post-implementation reports. And so you wouldn't need to hear from me again on this particular program.
Okay. Just want to make sure everybody understood the process. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, like sign. The program extension request is approved. Thank you, Dr. McGill. Decision item number 7 will be presented by Mrs. Kristen White, Bevel State Community College Associate of Applied Science and Faculty Maintenance Technician.
Thank you, Chair Bolden. Good morning. I would like to point out that we have multiple representatives from Bevel, Calhoun, and Enterprise here today. So if you have any questions, they are here to answer them. Oh, you announced it. Okay. This program, the facility maintenance technician, let me start over. This program will prepare graduates to become maintenance technicians, which are included on the 23-24 statewide demand list. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics projects a 13% growth in employment for industrial machinery mechanics and maintenance workers from 2020 to 2030 nationwide, which is faster than the average for all occupations. The program will include electrical, welding, and machine tool technology and HVAC. It will utilize the faculty and resources from the college's existing career technical programs and require minimal resources to implement. Bevel has reached out to local high school partners with the intention of offering this program as an additional dual enrollment opportunity for students. The proposal comes with 6 letters of support from local businesses. Some of those have expressed an interest in a potential collaboration with their internal employee training initiatives. Bevel projects that only $27,500 in new funds for marketing and recruiting expenses will be required to support the program over the first 7 years, and they expect it to generate $700,000 in tuition in that same period. And staff is recommending approval of this program.
Thank you. Chair entertains a motion to approve the staff recommendation. Second. Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor of approving, say aye. Aye. And all opposed, like sign. The program is approved. Decision item 8A will be presented by Mrs. Kristen White, Calhoun Community College, Associate of Applied Science and Social Work Technology.
This program will prepare graduates for employment in positions such as caseworker, health advocate, and community aide. Calhoun currently offers a pathway in social work as part of its associate degree in general studies for those students that are planning to pursue a bachelor's degree. They currently have about 100 students in this concentration, and by completing the proposed degree, they will be allowed to work in their field while they continue their studies with the 4-year program. Several human services employers in the area who need people to work under the supervision of licensed social workers have expressed support for this program. Calhoun is also currently working with the University of Alabama, Auburn, and Alabama A&M to develop transfer pathways to apply this degree toward a BSW in social work. The proposal projects $557,000 in startup costs over the first 7 years to hire one new full-time faculty member. Over the implementation period, the program is expected to generate $658,000 through tuition, and it will require reallocations of less than $20,000 to support the new faculty in the first 2 years. Staff is recommending approval of this program.
Thank you. Chair entertains a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, like sign. The program is approved. Decision item 8B will be presented by Mrs. Christian White, Associate of Applied Science in Aviation Airframe Technology.
This program I'm going to discuss in conjunction with the following program. They're co-programs. The aviation airframe program will prepare graduates for employment as aircraft mechanics and service technicians, which are included on the 23-24 statewide and Region 1 demand lists. The college has partnered with Pryorfield Regional Airport to repurpose a donated existing hangar as lab space for both programs that will become a part of its campus footprint. The facility, which is immediately adjacent to the campus, is being upgraded to ensure that the program meets all requirements for certification through the FAA. The proposal projects that just over $3 million in new funds will be required to support both of the aviation programs, the airframe and the power plant. Over the first 7 years, Calhoun intends to hire 3 full-time personnel, a dedicated faculty member, a program director with teaching responsibilities, and a lab assistant. The programs will also require $700,000 in new equipment, $250,000 in facility upgrades and maintenance, and $95,000 in recruitment and FAA compliance expenses. Over the first 7 years, the programs are expected to each generate $1.5 million through tuition and attract $100,000 in private funds. In order to cover startup costs for both programs, the Community College's Board of Trustees recently approved a $1 million in bond financing to be included in a future bond issuance. Estimated annual debt service payments of $32,467 for each aviation program have been included under program expenditures beginning in year 2. I would like to note that it is uncommon to fund new programs through debt service, although the community college system is planning to include this funding in a larger $30 million bond issuance. Since financing has not yet been finalized, AIC has recommended that an interim report be submitted after 3 years, showing updated financial projections through the end of the post-implementation period. Staff is recommending approval of this program.
Thank you. Chair entertains a motion to approve the staff recommendation. Second. Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, like sign. Program is approved. Decision item, yes, someone say something? All righty. Decision item 8C will be presented by Ms. Christian White, Associate of Applied Science in Aviation Power Plant Technology.
Okay, the Aviation Power Plant program will also prepare graduates for employment as aircraft mechanics and service technicians. Aviation airframe technicians work with the body of the aircraft, and aviation power plant technicians work with the engine of the aircraft. Some A&P mechanics service both, while others specialize in one or the other. The curriculum for this particular program will cover aircraft reciprocating engines, including their construction, operation, and the physical laws governing propeller operation. Students will demonstrate competency in power plant overhaul, adhering to FAA and manufacturers' regulations and practices, which includes disassembly, cleaning, measuring, inspecting, reassembly, and troubleshooting. And all the aforementioned finances apply to this program. Staff is recommending approval of this program.
Chair entertains a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, like sign. The program is approved. Decision item 9A will be presented by Ms. Christian White for Enterprise State Community College, Associate of Applied Science and Certificate in Automotive Technology.
This program is designed to prepare graduates for employment as automotive service technicians and mechanics, which are also included on the 23-24 statewide demand list. Enterprise intends to seek program accreditation through the National Institute for Automotive Service Excellence Education Foundation. Graduates will be prepared to gain entry-level employment as automotive service technicians and mechanics without further training. However, the program will be designed to prepare students for ASC entry-level certification tests, which are designed to indicate a satisfactory level of practical knowledge-based readiness for the workforce. The program proposal projects $1 million in startup costs over the first 7 years. The majority of those funds will be used to hire 2 new faculty members. The program will require internal reallocations of $180,000 during the first 5 years, but is expected to become self-sustaining by year 6. Over the first 7 years, the program is expected to generate $893,000 through tuition. Staff is recommending approval of this program.
Chair entertains a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Any questions or comments? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, like sign. The program is approved. Decision item 9B will be presented by Mrs. Kristen White, Associate of Applied Science and Certificate in Welding.
This program will prepare graduates to become skilled welders in construction, maintenance, and manufacturing fields, and is also included on the statewide list and the Region 6 in-demand occupation list. It will be a new addition to the college's aviation maintenance department. Currently offers associate degrees in advanced manufacturing, airframe technology, power plant technology, and avionics technology. Enterprise intends to seek American Welding Society facility accreditation, as well as program accreditation through the AWS Sense Advanced Education and Training Program when it becomes available. Graduates will not need licensure or certification prior to entry-level employment, but will be prepared to test for industry certifications through AWS. The proposal projects that $1 million in new funds will be required to support the program over the first 7 years. This includes $700,000 for 2 new faculty members and $300,000 for consumable materials at multiple sites. The program will be supported by reallocations of $180,000 and is expected to generate almost $900,000 through tuition. And I would like to point out, if you've noticed, the finances are similar for these 2 programs, but unlike the Calhoun programs, the finances here are separate based on the number of students and the faculty needed. So similar, but different.
Can you elaborate on the other column? 330,000 of others. New funds required,
The $330,000 for consumable materials.
just says other.
Oh, is it? Oh.
Those were the projection for consumables, so I think they may have just been miscategorized instead of calling them supplies.
Wrong place. Any other questions? This one? Okay, staff is recommending approval of this program.
Thank you. Chair entertains a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
So moved.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Are there any additional questions or comments? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, like sign. The program is approved. Thank you, Ms. White. Next, we'll move on to our informational items. Dr. McGill will present a review of some of the information items.
Great. You guys thought you were rid of me, but I'm back up here. I just wanted to introduce to you very briefly a couple of changes that we have been making with the information items based on the regulatory rules changes that have been approved by the commission over the past several meetings. So if you cast your mind back to the March meeting, there was a change in the extension alteration policy to make it more regular and clear, frankly. And so what you'll see for the information items, number 1A, 1B, 1C, is reflective of the way that the new policy is written. These are 3 types of extensions and alterations, and so therefore they're kind of grouped together under that to make that more regular. Another change that you'll see this year pertains to item 4, which is the annual off-campus site report. My colleague Kristen White has been doing an enormous amount of work housekeeping for the off-campus sites, trying to get an updated list and make sure that all the institutions understand their reporting obligations. And so you'll see in the packet an organization that includes the sites by institution, including all of the dual enrollment sites, which are quite a few, if you notice. And then we have a second attachment for that one that includes off-campus sites by county, which allows us to see where multiple institutions may be engaging folks at the same site. And so that certainly supports greater collaboration across institutions and awareness of the educational opportunities for those communities. Lastly, I want to introduce, in case you all haven't met her before, my colleague, LaCarrie Gill. She doesn't know I'm putting her on the spot, but her name you see all over the information items, and she has been the one compiling those and being responsive to the new policies. So thank you, LaCarrie. She doesn't often get to get up here and talk to you all, so I wanted to make sure you knew who she was. And with that, staff is recommending approval of the slate of information items.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. McGill. The informational items 1 through 6 are normally accepted or not accepted by the commission as a whole. Chair entertains a motion to approve the items collectively.
So
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, like sign. The information items are accepted. And with that, I believe that kind of concludes everything. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Commissioner Button.
I just wanted to, just very quickly, Commissioner, Dr. Chatter, it's funny to me how many people make a motion on informational items as a collective whole, because if we get out of here, it's funny. I just wanted to publicly acknowledge the staff here for the past 9 years. They've been amazing, and I think if you get involved with any organization, you hope that it's better when you left than when you came. And I was honored to be on the committee to hire Dr. Purcell, and he has just surrounded himself by just amazing people. And I just want to publicly say that. Jacinta, you were wonderful. Every time I call you and complain and need something, you were just always there. Robin McGill, amazing. Kristen, Dr. Hood, and everybody here. I know I'm going to miss people. And Jamarcus is just a really good friend. And so I just appreciate all of y'all. And especially during COVID, the tech team, I kind of came up here and I was in my own little war room, and we were all trying to figure this out by Zoom. It was just really an odd time, but we got through it, and we were better for it. It was just amazing. And so my last words is, commissioners, I just encourage y'all, get to know the institutions in your district. Let them know that you're available to them. I mean, you don't have to go have lunch with them every week, but let them know you're there. And it just makes a huge difference when they know you're accessible. And dig in the weeds. When we get these agendas, the staff does such a good job of making us look good. And we come in here and we approve these. I'm sure everybody out in the crowd's like, what do these commissioners do? They're just approving these things, but they do all the work to make us look good. But, when you get the agenda, call Robin, call Kristen, call Dr. Hood, and ask them what you need to know about it to be further educated. But it's been a wonderful 9 years. I really appreciate all of y'all. You've been wonderful, Chairwoman. Amy, you're going to be fantastic going forward, assuming you're going to be the next Chairwoman. God bless you. And anyway, I've said enough. Thank you.
second everything that he said, and it has truly been an honor serving the state of Alabama and working with AIC staff, the team. Everyone was absolutely wonderful. It's been a wonderful experience. And so I know you'll be in great hands with Ms. Price, Amy Price, if she's the chair going forward. And I believe she'll do a wonderful job. And so with that, I believe we are adjourned.